it's really a never ending thing because you have a conversation, gives you an answer, and then it says, but it's almost like a Billy Mays, but wait, there's more.
Welcome to Fry Your Chickens, the podcast about facing fears, negativities, and self-doubts that can hold us back. Or as I like to call them, chickens. Get ready because it's time to tell those chickens that are holding you back to shut the cluck up. We will learn how real people did exactly that. I'm your host, Phil Barth. Let's get ready to fry. Today's guest is from beautiful Cleveland, Ohio. And that's how she introduces herself every time she leaves a voicemail. We're going to find out why she does that. We're going to learn a lot. Please welcome professional speaker, author, consultant, retention expert, and long-suffering Cleveland Browns fan, because there really is no other kind, Lisa Ryan.
Yay! Thanks for having me.
I have a sound effect and the dang thing. All right. There we go. I was very committed to the sound effect, and yet it didn't happen until now. Lisa, welcome to the Fry Your Chickens podcast. Let me start with a question. When you leave a voicemail, why do you introduce yourself? Now, I'm buying that it's from Cleveland, Ohio, beautiful Cleveland, Ohio, but some people might not. The less informed, shall we say. Why do you introduce yourself that way when you leave a voicemail?
Because when people get voicemails, it's generally the same blah, 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 and they listen for about 3 seconds and then they hit delete. But if I say this is Lisa Ryan from Grategy in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio, I want some kind of reaction. I want an eye roll. I want a smirk. I don't care if it's, who is this weird chick? Let me listen to the rest of the message. But I really just want a message that stands out from the crowd. And I have found that the words beautiful and Cleveland, Ohio are not 3 words that you generally hear together. So people want to know what's next.
I love that. By the way, I don't think I mentioned it. You are a lifelong resident of Cuyahoga County, correct?
I have never lived outside of Cuyahoga County completely by choice. My husband, on the other hand, has lived in both Cuyahoga and Summit County. So, and for those of you not acquainted, that is Cleveland and Akron. So obviously I married a man of the world.
I love it. By the way, I'm going to mention this. If you're listening to this, you can't see the beautiful shirt I wore. I have on every podcast until this one worn something with a chicken on it because it's the Fry Your Chickens podcast. But in honor of beautiful Cleveland, Ohio, and the start of opening day, I am wearing my '99 Cleveland, at the time Indians, Ricky Vaughn jersey from the movie Major League. I think it's got the Wild Thing patch and everything. So
wow,
we are doing it up Cleveland style today.
There you go.
Now, you mentioned Grategy.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that. I like that name. Tell me about your company, about Grategy and what that means and how you came to get that.
Yeah. Grategy is actually a beautiful combination of the words gratitude and strategy mushed together. When I first started my company 16 years ago now, on October 12th, 2010, I was actually Chief Appreciation Strategist at Appreciation Strategies, which you can imagine was quite a mouthful. And this one particular day, I was walking along the Lake Erie with my friend Dick Clough. He's a lifelong marketing guy, looks a little bit like Albert Einstein and one of my very dearest friends. And we were trying to put together all the words that would make more sense than appreciation strategies. So we were playing with appreciation and thank you and gratitude and grateful and all of those words. We were at it for about 3.5 hours. And I finally looked at my watch and I'm like, dude, it is Friday night. I got a date with my husband. I have to go. So about an hour later, Scott and I are sitting down to dinner and Dick calls me and I'm like, did I just not leave you an hour ago? And Dick said, it's Grategy. And I'm like, oh, it's Grategy. And I looked at Scott and I said, it's Grategy. And Scott looked at me and he's like, what in the world are you talking about? So And the funny thing is, I immediately trademarked it, like, do not pass go, do not collect $200. And about every Christmas for about the first 10 years I had Grategy, Dick would graciously give me the rights to use it every Christmas. You can use like it's already a registered trademark, dude, but I graciously accepted his generosity and I continue to do so.
That is so cool. You can just see you at dinner and like the heavens part, the skies parted and the sun beamed down and Grategy.
Yep. Yep.
So
Because it was like it really was that mastermind when two minds start working together, that third mind comes. And Dick was still processing, even though I left. And it was like that beautiful aha moment that we all want when we're trying to brainstorm happened. And I knew from hearing it that was my company because it was easy to say, easy to interpret, and it's just been working for a long time.
isn't that great when all of a sudden the idea, now in this case it came from your brainstorming partner, but when that idea just all of a sudden pops into your head. And
Hmm.
and frequently I find it's when I stop stressing out and say, I have to think of it, I have to think of it. And you go for a walk or something, it's like boom.
Right. Oh, there it is. Yep, absolutely.
Even better when it's hand delivered while you're at dinner
Yeah.
on a date at dinner. Yes.
Exactly.
What does Grategy focus on?
We really focus on workplace culture, on how to create a workplace environment that keeps your top talent from becoming someone else's. Because when employees feel that they are appreciated and respected and just admired in the workplace, and people are nice to them and appreciate the hard work they do, they are much more likely to stay. So it is really all about that human connection and coming from a place of gratitude, looking to catch people in the act of doing things well instead of always trying to fix what's broken.
That's incredible. Now let me ask you something. How much does it cost when you lose one of your top employees? Any idea?
Ugh, well, depending on the industry, but generally, I see anywhere from an additional 50 to 250% of annual salary. When you're looking more at, C-suite and higher level executives, that can actually be up to 400% a first year salary. And that takes into account the time that it takes to find them and onboard them. But if we look at the costs that go along with that, in addition, the customers lost because they just, their favorite salesperson went somewhere else and they decided to go there. Or because they were now so understaffed, people were getting burned out and they started to leave. So, we look at all of the numbers, not just what it takes by the time we put that ad on LinkedIn or Indeed or Monster or whatever we're doing to find that person. And it also used to be that we could put an ad, in the newspaper or online and have, several hundred applicants trying to get into the company. But now, because there are so many different options, people don't have to stay in the same industry. I mean, they can decide, you know what, I'm just going to go and I'm going to drive for DoorDash now, or I'm going to, you know, drive with Uber or Lyft, or become a YouTube influencer, or all the things that weren't jobs 10 years ago. And as we start getting more into AI, there's going to be more and more opportunities where jobs that don't even exist yet are going to need employees to do. And now we just have to figure out where we're going to find them.
That's that's so important. It's a YouTube influencer. Speaking of that, my puppy is a bit of a YouTube influencer. We'll hear from her later. Now, your focus area, I know this, is manufacturing. How did you come to focus in manufacturing?
I started my career, I was a full-time in sales. I have a sales career of more than 20 years, and 13 of that was spent in industrial sales. I first started it by selling electrical cord and cable into the maintenance environment. And from there, I went into outside sales where I spent 7 years in the welding industry. And I just always loved manufacturing. I loved going into the steel mill. I was in the salt mine and auto plants and just really seeing how everything is made. And I remember it was December of 2016, and I was having a call with a new friend of mine from the National Speakers Association. And I was kind of frustrated because I wasn't getting the keynotes that I wanted. Speaking at for a lot of HR type of associations where basically, you have to beg it to be paid for travel. And it just felt like, is this something that I'm going to be able to continue to do? And Elaine was, asking me about my background. I said, well, I started as an executive recruiter and I'm kind of failing there. And then I spent 13 years in industrial sales and then spent the last 7 years of my career in healthcare. And I really hate healthcare and I don't want to go back there, primarily because my medical sales position was eliminated via group conference call with 12 of us getting canned at the same time. So a little bit sour taste from that.
That'll do it. Yeah.
And Elaine said, well, what about manufacturing? I said, I don't know. Can you make money in manufacturing? She said, I don't know. So I went on our National Speakers Association Facebook page and I posted the question, can you make money speaking in manufacturing? I really had no idea. And my friend Liz said, well, as a matter of fact, yes, you can. And that's when I discovered there are hundreds and thousands of associations that are in manufacturing, construction, and the skilled trades. So I get to be around people that I love being around, with audiences that truly get it for the most part. And it's just a lot of fun. I think that when it comes to a business, niching, being a big fish in a small pond is really the way to go.
Yeah, we have that in common too, because I worked for International Paper before retiring for the speaking and podcasting gig.
Yes.
And my first part of the career was spent in human resource systems and payroll and benefits and that sort of thing. And about halfway through the career, I got an opportunity to do manufacturing systems. And when I went to that first mill and saw it, I was like, holy crap. This is, when I was a kid, we took a tour, our high school took a tour of one of the manufacturing facilities. Like, this is cool the way they do that. And then I worked summers for Whirlpool Corporation where we created washing machines and whatnot. And it was like, I had this flashback. I was like, that's right. I really like this stuff. Why haven't I been doing this all along? And for the second half of my career, until I got into supporting sales systems, it was manufacturing. And
Yep.
salespeople like to have big parties, and they wanted to bring me along. So there were benefits to that too.
Yep.
Manufacturing
Exactly.
or parties, either one are good by me.
Yep.
Now, let me ask you about your book. You've written some books, and you've got another one coming out. Tell me about your latest book.
Yeah, my latest book is called Smart Plant. It's aligning AI, automation, and people. And it really focuses on the work that I've been doing for the last 15 years with workplace culture, but more the workplace of the future. Because when we first started bringing automation into manufacturing, people pretty much worked alongside with the robots because the robots only did what the people told them to do. Garbage in, garbage out. You figured it out. You made your life easier because you got to automate things. But now with AI, if you think about it, and I know I'm a personal super user of AI, that AI is making us a lot of the decisions for us. And 99.28% of the time, it is right on. The problem is that because the machines are making the judgments for us, there are going to be those times where you have that operator that's been there for 30 or 40 years, and they've built up their sensory library. So it's like they can see, they can hear, they can feel, they can smell when something is going on with a machine piece of equipment. But if they're going to their managers and saying, listen, there's something going to happen with this machine, I'm fearing something's going to break down. And the manager looks and the dashboards are green. They're like, hey, according to AI, everything's peachy, hunky dory. Go back to work. They're going to stop sharing that. And when you look at the number of baby boomers that are leaving and taking all of that tribal knowledge with them, we're educating people by sitting in front of computers and doing simulations instead of actually being in the plant where it's all happening. So it's a cautionary tale of what happens when we remove human judgment completely from the plant, and gives lots of ideas as far as what to look for. Because obviously there are tasks that you can be fully used AI in, but there are other ones that you really have to take a look at. Okay, well, if we do this, for example, it starts kind of with a fictionalized story for Oak Ridge Industries. And one of the things that Oak Ridge did is they realized that they had 6 managers on the floor, and they felt they were a little overstaffed, so they went down to 4. Well, what happened now is, instead of the managers having the time to walk through the plant and talk to employees and see what's going on and spending a little bit more time with people, it's like now they were staffed to the point where there was no time for that. So they lost a lot of that day-to-day interaction. So on paper, it looks great. Hey, we can reduce our payroll by these jobs, but what are we eliminating? What kind of human connection, human judgment, human interactions are we eliminating that are going to at some point come back to bite us?
What's the biggest thing you think that humans bring to the table that AI cannot replicate?
It really is. They don't necessarily know the history of why we do what we do. So maybe there was a part that's been sitting outside in a truck all night, and we bring it right to the floor. AI may not realize that, well, we didn't have a chance to bring that part up to room temperature, so that's going to be more of a variable in the in the processing line. But somebody who's been on the line, who has seen what happens when we use cold parts versus room temperature parts, they'll be able to say, you know what, we really don't want to do this because this is what happened last time. Again, they're building up the why we do what we do instead of just what we do, which AI is really good in calculating what to do next.
I like that idea that we know the why. It knows the what, we know the why. That's really good.
Yeah.
Now, I knew you were an AI geek. That's one of the reasons, that Cleveland, NSA, all of the things we have in common. That's one of the reasons you're on here. What's your favorite AI tip, trick, or tool, if you have
You know
one?
what? If you treat it, and this is going to sound a little scary, but if you treat it like you're talking to a human instead of a machine, a lot of times when I'm going on, and primarily my 3 favorite, I use Chat, Claude, and Perplexity. But when I'm asking a question, I will say, hey, Chat, I'm working on this project right now. These are some of the things that I'm thinking of. These are, what the client does. I'll copy and paste stuff from their website. I wanted this to be really super personalized. What can I do? What are some of the things to mention, whatever. And that is exactly how I am talking to it. I am not going in and saying, write me a proposal for a die casting conference. It's just talking into it, talking to it, and again, treating it like a support person, because the more information you get, and even if you just do a total brain dump, it really gets to know you over time and can understand and start to put the pieces together. I mean, I've been using ChatGPT long enough. I still remember the day I was introduced to it. It was like one of those mind-blowing moments of my life that I'll never forget. And I started playing with it that day. And now it's just really become part of what I do. And it's really enabled me to get a lot more done.
Yep. I was having a conversation online with somebody, uh, a LinkedIn conversation back and forth, and he said, it doesn't save you time. And like, you're absolutely right. It makes me faster. It does not save me time because I just get sucked into, oh, and now I can do this, and now I can do this, and now I can do that. And a friend of mine, Jen Bedell, who's been on the podcast a couple times, says that you have at your disposal the world's smartest intern. The only
Mhm.
problem is every so often it shows up to work drunk.
Yeah, very true.
So
Well, the other thing that with chat is it's really a never ending thing because you have a conversation, gives you an answer, and then it says, but it's almost like a Billy Mays, but wait, there's more. I can give you the three top secrets that most people don't know when it comes to this. And I just say, okay. And it goes on. It says, and if you want, I can give you another 5 tips. Okay. And it really, and unless you tell it that, okay, we're done now, it will keep going on until eternity, trying to be helpful, giving you more information. And a lot of times, too, like the don't show up drunk thing, I will say, don't make stuff up. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going, so,
I recently, and 2 weeks ago, had a world class hallucination from ChatGPT that it doubled down on. We were in the Indianapolis area and we were coming back to Cincinnati, and we said, well, we'd like to find an antique mall on the way that's open, but when we're going to get there. And I had it do the whole thing. It completely hallucinated, even providing pictures, an antique mall outside of Cincinnati. And I said, oh, show me the link. Give me the link to it. And it was a blank spot for the link. And then it told me
uh,
more about its hours and everything, and it gave me the address. So I went to Google Maps and put the address in, and the address was right in the middle of a train track.
oh, that is so
It
funny.
just,
Yeah, that statement, don't make stuff up, that will actually save your life.
oh, absolutely. Show me the link. Don't make stuff up. Don't BS me,
Yeah.
whatever. The other thing you mentioned, and I have called ChatGPT on this, it's if you'd like, I can show you the 3 items that most people will. I said, you're doing clickbait. Stop it. Oh, that's not
Uh-huh.
clickbait. I'm just trying to be helpful. It's clickbait. Don't do it. It
Oh,
keeps
that's
doing it.
funny.
It keeps doing
Yeah.
it. I've noticed a lot more of that recently. Now, understand, I love ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity. I have just started doing Perplexity codes things for you.
Yeah.
Mind blowing the stuff it
Yeah. It's
can do.
awesome.
Wow. And then the other one, I think you and I talked about at lunch one time, was Notebook LM.
Yeah, which I have not started to play with yet. I mean, I keep seeing people posting all kinds of cool things about Note LM, but I or Notebook LM. I just, there's really, and I think that this is a word for everybody. There are so many programs out there. Find the ones that work best for you.
Yep.
And if you really need another tool, maybe at some point, but right now with the things that I'm working on, things that I'm doing, um, and actually, I have to say, I mean, chat has gotten so much better at like PowerPoint slide designs that
Mm-hmm.
it has helped me where I used to rely on Canva a lot for that.
Yep.
And Claude is brilliant at putting together like whole takeaway sheets and stuff that are formatted and look beautiful. And again, it gets me out of using Canva for that, where I have to do a lot of the work. It's still all my content. I will put that in there, but then it's formatted beautifully. And it's like, oh, do it in a Word document in case I need to do any tweaks to it instead of a PDF. But it's really amazing how much of a, I guess, time saver, but also a thinking saver because I don't have to think about things I'm not good at. I am not good at graphic design. It's
Same.
not my strength.
Yep.
But if I can rely on a robot that's going to do a beautiful job and make it look brilliant without paying somebody hundreds of dollars to rework my PowerPoint slide deck, um, I'm good with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I had, oh, couple years ago, went through and paid somebody to do all the designs and all the deck and all the, and now compared to what I can do with ChatGPT, it looks old. Well, ChatGPT or Gamma or whatever the tool is, it's old. So, but I won't have to pay somebody for the next round because you just put it into the tool and it works marvelously.
Right, exactly. And I like Gamma to a point, but I think that it adds, no matter how many times you tell it not to have a lot of words, it is always word heavy.
Drives me nuts. Yep, absolutely. Yep. Ironically, the one thing that doesn't do a great job of putting together PowerPoint slides, as in Microsoft PowerPoint, would be Microsoft Copilot.
Oh, yeah. And I have not played with that. And then I was at an AI program last week, and I guess Gemini keeps all of this stuff that you put into Gemini public for the rest of eternity. So where with chat, you can put on privacy controls, I guess in Gemini, you can't. So that is one program that I will not use.
I only use it for making pictures of my puppy. So
there you go.
It's like, because she doesn't really want to pose with a Santa Claus hat on her head. But Gemini, people want to see that publicly. I mean, the whole idea was she was going to be doing a video, so I will use it for that. But
there you go.
Privacy is a concern.
Right.
The pitch for Notebook LM that I will mention is when I wrote my last book, one chapter at a time, I uploaded the entire chapter into Notebook LM and then asked them to do the podcast and here's what we learned from this. And as long as the podcast synced up with the point I wanted to make, I was like, we're good. If they were finding something else, then I needed to go back to the chapter.
Okay.
Interesting. But you're gonna want half a day once you start playing with it. It's like the other tools.
Right. Yeah, like anything.
Yeah. All right. Now you are a speaker, as we have mentioned. I know you've done programs for speakers talking about calling, and this would also apply for salespeople or anybody who really needs to make a contact. What is your one tip for speakers, salespeople that want to get more business, get more deals? What is your one tip for them?
Well, outbound, my business is as successful as it is because of my outreach. You can have the best product, you can be the best salesperson in the world, but if nobody knows who you are, the phone's not going to ring. And even if you do something where you go viral for something and the phone does ring, it rings for a limited amount of time. So I am always looking for creative ways to do outreach. And it's not just sending another email. It may be a video email. I pick up the phone. I leave voicemails. I send stuff through the mail. I send handwritten notes. I do video emails. I do all of the above. And it really comes, here's the main point. If you come from an act of service, meaning that how can I help you? Not hire me, not buy my stuff. You know what? Here's an article that I thought you would like. I was thinking about you and wanted to share this video with you. Or, I saw your event coming up. Here are some ideas for, topics that your members may be interested in learning more about. So it is always making it personalized, always making it about them, but the outreach. And people will say, well, I called them one time. They didn't call me back, so they must not be interested. No, they deleted your voicemail 2 seconds after they listened to it because you didn't stand out in the crowd. So how are we differentiating ourselves and really cutting above the noise? That's the main thing, because especially now with AI, there is so much noise out there that we are just being slammed with every single day that we have to take a look at ways to differentiate ourselves, but differentiate ourselves in a way that we're coming from that foundation of how can I serve?
That's outstanding. That's a great tip. All right, now we're going to move to the most important question. We have a house band here at the Fry Your Chickens podcast. I will share the screen so that they can join us. There they are. It's Lord Cluckington and the Headbangers. And they are going to introduce the next segment with their having, well, go, Lord Cluckington, go.
It's time for the big question because everybody cares. Fight one bear-sized chicken or 100 chicken-sized bears. It's time.
Nope. Getting them to stop is not always an easy thing to do. Once they start rocking, I mean, that's what they were designed to do.
Obviously, you know.
Here is Lord Cluckington himself. So
Okay.
he wanted to ask you the question we ask all of our guests. Which would you rather fight? One bear-sized chicken or 100 chicken-sized bears, and why?
I would fight the one bear-sized chicken because after I took that sucker out, I would have my friends over for a feast.
We have a winner. Yes, we have a winner. Let's get that. There we go. Yeah, absolutely. I've been waiting for someone to say that. I've even mentioned it afterwards. Yeah, it'd be the greatest barbecue ever.
Exactly.
Man. You can't.
And you didn't even prompt me. See, that's just the way this brain works.
Boom. Absolutely. Yeah, it'd be a great feast. I've had bear that has been grilled, but little tiny bears, I think they'd be tough.
No, that would be like eating a sparrow. Who wants to do that?
Yeah, and just like no. So yes, very good answer. Well done. I award you 100 points. I've never awarded points before. I need to do that.
There you go.
All right. Well, that was easy. Now we've got a more difficult question. It is coming to us from the one and only Darcy. There's Darcy. Okay. She has her Cleveland Guardians hat on in celebration of opening day. She is at the game. They actually let her on the field because she's so cute. And here is her question.
Hi, Lisa. I'm excited about baseball season. I love fetching baseballs. But my question is actually about football. I'm a Browns fan because of the dog pound. But it's tough rooting for such a dog crap team. Do you think we'll ever see a Super Bowl team in any of our lifetimes?
So there you have it. Darcy wants to know, will we ever see a Cleveland Browns Super Bowl team in any of our lifetimes?
I would have to say probably not, but we are getting a fantastic new stadium. So who knows? Oh, we have a very pretty I think that, you know what? The interesting thing about that is, yes, I believe that Cleveland will have a Super Bowl. It just won't have the Browns in it because we will have a fantastic Super Bowl worthy facility right here in Brook Park, Ohio, by the airport. But as far as the Cleveland Browns, yeah, my husband would probably slap me upside the head if he heard me saying that, because he's one of those Browns fans that truly believes every year that this is going to be the year. And it never is.
You know, annually, I have one of the best looking yards around because somewhere in the middle of game one, I get frustrated, fed up, and just say, that's it. I'm going to go work on the yard every Sunday. So
Yep.
They are doing me a favor. I don't know. The new stadium will be nice, but it won't lead to wins and losses because if you consider when they came back in 1999, it was a new stadium, and we've all seen what that led to.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I want to be optimistic. I grew up with them, but boy, you know, it hasn't happened in my lifetime so far, and I'm over halfway home. So,
Yeah. Cleveland fans, they're just a unique group because we have such a crap team, and yet that stadium sells out every week. So,
it's amazing.
I know. God bless them.
You know, one of the things I found with AI, I'm going to tie this all together. One of the things I found with AI is that if the thing you tried to do with AI turns into a total hallucinogenic nightmare, it makes for great speaking material.
Yeah.
One of the things about being a Cleveland Browns fan is all of the nightmares make for good speaking material. For example, it was several years ago. I think they hired a new coach. Yeah, it was God, several years ago they hired a new coach, and then they hired a new coach, and then they hired a new coach. You know the
Just say
story.
we've had like 18 coaches, so
Yeah,
that's not
well, yeah,
surprising.
like one for every 30 quarterbacks we start. But
Yeah.
anyway, they had hired a new coach, and they had finished strong in the second half of the year. And I told my wife, I was like, you know how I give up on the Browns every year, in the first quarter? That's going to be different this year. I'm going to sit down and watch them, and it's going to be a great year. And I made it to halftime. And she was working in the yard, and I came out. I said, that's it. I am not watching any football on Sunday afternoon for the rest of the season. And she said, you always say that. I said, no, here's what we're going to do. We are going to make a project list of things we want to get done around the house. And every Sunday afternoon, we're going to do them. Yeah, we did. And I have that as one of my presentations is I have pictures of all of the projects we got done based on the fact that the Browns suck. So, so you know what? We don't need a Super Bowl. We've got a team that allows us to have a good-looking yard, a nice home office. You can't ask for anything more.
Exactly.
Except every year I do. Lisa, where can we find you online?
Well, my website is lisaryanspeaks.com. I am pretty prolific on LinkedIn, and actually you can subscribe to my newsletter, excuse me, called Cracking the Retention Code on LinkedIn. It comes out every Wednesday. And I'm not hard to find. With a name like Lisa Ryan, you do it. Yeah, there's a gazillion Lisa Ryans on the planet. So just do Lisa Ryan and Grategy, and I will turn up somewhere. I promise you.
And you are there. And links to your website and your new book when it comes out will be available on the show notes.
Awesome.
Lisa, this has been wonderful. I mean, we're talking about Cleveland sports, we talked about chickens, and we talked about a whole lot of really valuable things. Thank you so much for the time. And for all those people out there, keep frying. Hey, it's Phil. Like today's show? Well, you'll clucking love my Fry Your Chickens newsletter on LinkedIn and Substack. Links are in the notes.